Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. And as always, or I shouldn't say as always, because he doesn't come on as much as he should. He doesn't call. He doesn't write. I don't know what else to do. It's the Brooklyn Hitsquad. How are we doing today, Mr. Hood Squad?
I was doing okay.
You were doing okay.
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I guess you got shell shocked from the introduction, so now you're just doing okay. I'll take the blame for that. I take the blame for everything else. But you know what? We're going to jump right into some topics today because I really want to hear your opinion on a couple things.
Go for it.
I'm not going to tell you what it is right off the bat, and we're going to do it kind of like a rapid fire thing. You don't have to give me too long of an answer because I want you to think about it. Give me your thought process, and then we'll move right on to the next topic, unless you have a question for me during that. Topic number one, Tiki Barber. Tiki Barber came out a couple days ago and said, Tom Coughlin wasn't really the reason that I retired. He was only a small reason why I left the Giants. It was more of the fact that, my body was breaking down and I wasn't feeling normal since, starting on Thursday. Okay, first he blasted Eli when he left. Mm-hmm. He blasted Coughlin in the organization when he left. And I know over the last couple of years he's making nice and, he's trying to get back into the Giant fold, into the Giant family. But in your opinion, is this an honest answer or do we have to call bullshit?
Me personally, I gotta call bullshit. While I do think that, his body, considering the position, while I do think that his body probably did take, that much duress, I still think he had a lot in the tank compared to where he let off. I know that certain players, like you look at like Barry Sanders, they retired relatively around the same age. But I think it was really just, I think it was more of Tom more than anything. That's just my honest opinion. I don't think, Tiki could really convince me otherwise. I think he's going to say that. To your point, it's been very interesting how the last couple of years, he's been really trying to do what seems right towards the Giants to get on their, I'm going to call it good gracious. That's just me.
Yes.
That's what I would call it.
On their good side.
Yeah, that's just what I would call it. And I don't think he's just going to come out full-blown and say, oh, yeah, it was completely because of Coughlin, if that's what he's trying to do. But no, I mean, I took it as bullshit when I heard it.
All right. Question number 2. Deandre Baker. I didn't do it. I was playing Xbox. Do we buy it or are we calling bullshit?
Well, I wasn't there, obviously. So I don't.
In your opinion.
In my
legal opinion, the guy went from saying, well, you know what, nothing happened. There's video evidence that's going to, exonerate me. I have statements from the witnesses that are recanting. Now, the police have came out and verified that there's no video and no witnesses have recanted. Then his attorney comes out with, he was there, and his attorney's words, there was some kind of ruckus that he only saw out of the corner of his eye, a table being flipped over, but he was playing Xbox. I have never heard the Xbox armed robbery defense. So here's the question. Like I said before, is he telling the truth, or are we just looking at, lawyer bullshit?
Okay. So I would be open to that possibility only because I've been somewhere where somebody has actually pulled up with their whole entire game system. You're talking controllers, games, everything, just pull up and they play it in the middle of a party. They're not drinking, they're not doing anything. With how, I'm going to be honest with you, with how this case has been really going, I'm going to take his word for it. I'm going to take his word for it until they can prove it otherwise. And if they say that they have proof of it, that they can prove that he was on the Xbox, the argument could be made,
well, anyone could log into his account. Somebody
could have played it. He could have rightfully brought his stuff there and somebody else played it, and he could be in the back.
My question to you is, why wasn't this the defense right away? After we heard about the witnesses that recanted, which didn't, after there was supposed to be video, all of a sudden we switched to or maybe it was PlayStation, I don't know. Whatever, all of a sudden we switched to the Xbox did it.
I mean, maybe they felt that wasn't like the biggest leverage that they could use. maybe maybe their thought process was, okay, well, if at a worst case, we know that you were playing Xbox, we'll pull that out if and when we have to. That's just how I see it. That might not be the best way to see it, but yeah, I mean, I definitely do think that if that was the case, they should have came forward first with it. But if they have proof, if they're saying that they have proof, then I gotta take it for what their word is until they can prove it otherwise.
All right, here we go. Dave Gettleman has about $15.8 million in salary cap space.
Correct.
He said he's going to hold on to it for in-season moves and in-season trades. Right now, we have no edge rush whatsoever. Anyone could say, well, we're going to move Lorenzo Carter. We're going to have O'Shane Ximines. We're going to do this. We have no established edge whatsoever on this team. The question is, Dave Gettleman, $15.8 million in cap space. Is he going to hold on to it in the season, or are we calling bullshit?
I think that he's going to hold on to it during the season. I think that it would actually be smarter to hold on to it during the season as opposed to going to spend it right now, right this very second. You never know. I would say if towards the trade deadline that they're looking pretty good, maybe they do go out and make that trade. Or if for some reason they want to extend Barkley on this year, they have some money to work with. I think right now
I don't think that they wouldn't extend him on his third year. They might extend him on his fourth year. I mean, I wouldn't extend him on his third because they also still got your option.
I wouldn't extend him on his third either. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if they did. To be honest with you, I just wouldn't be surprised. Just to kind of get it out the way, I think it would be just looking at how that Christian McCaffrey contract looked. Do you think maybe it would be a little bit smarter to get it done now as opposed to whenever the next running back up?
Was the McCaffrey contract after his fourth year?
I would have to double check.
I don't believe it was in his third year. I believe it was his fourth year.
No, I don't think it's within his third year either. I'm just saying in terms of like price. I
think if it depends on the season he has. I mean, if he stays healthy and has a season comparable, if not exceeding of his rookie year, yeah, I think he definitely can get or should get McCaffrey money. And
of course, without
definitely
a doubt.
have the cap space to do it. So I mean, but like I said, my theory has always been you don't extend a player unless he plans on holding out. Because let's think of it this way. We control him after this season for 2 more years because we can just pick up his 5th-year option. And right now, I think we did a video, and I think he is the 8th or the 9th highest paid running back in the league. Mm-hmm. That's not bad for a guy starting his 3rd year. I mean, because if people forget, they're all crying, oh, poor Saquon. Yeah, he was taken number 2. He's being paid number 2 overall money. He's not some guy that we took in the 4th round, at a William and Mary who all of a sudden just bursted onto the scene. No, he's making a good chunk of change for a guy in his 3rd year.
Forget that. And I think people forget that. Oh, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm so sorry. No. I think people forget that sometimes. You're really, when you look at, especially these rookie contracts, when you look at it, it also depends on where they're drafted. You got to expect your player within, I would say, the first top 5. They're going to make a big chunk of money. You look at how much did Tua sign for it? What was it, $30 million?
Something like
that.
For
a rookie?
Yeah. I mean,
for a rookie, that's insane.
It's not crazy money. It's not like the Sam Bradford money that made the league change the rookie pool because it was Sam Bradford got an obscene amount of money for doing nothing, and that literally led to the teams and the Players Association saying, "Hey, we need a rookie pool," So, but that's neither here nor there. Last rapid fire question.
Let's get it.
Some handsome, broad-shouldered YouTuber who likes to wear black and maybe a number 1 on his shirt from Harley Davidson did a video that said, Saquon Barkley, MVP, 2,000 yards rushing. Is this guy on the money? And he is a good-looking guy. Or are we calling bullshit?
Well, good-looking is a very strong word. Nah, I don't think that's impossible. I don't. And I always look at, he was injured last year. Our offensive line, I believe, did take a step forward. Still wasn't good. Took a step forward, and he was still able to have 1,000 yards. We see in his rookie season, he went off. I think he exceeded expectations to what we knew. I thought he was going to be good, but I didn't think he was going to be that good. I haven't seen a Giants running back do that. I haven't seen some running backs do that in quite some time. So it's really
Well,
good to hear.
people forget about the Tiki. I
Yeah,
mean, we just talked about Tiki. Tiki, his last 2 seasons were very comparable to Barkley's. But again, we were talking of running back in his 30s who had been in the league for 9 years, to compare a guy that just bursted onto the scene his rookie season.
absolutely. And to even go on Tiki, which is, I'm going to tie this back to my point. I think that Saquon Barkley has the potential, and I think it's a good chance to be a better overall running back than Tiki Barber was.
I
That's just,
100%, yeah.
and I think, bringing that back, I don't think it's impossible seeing him go for 2,000 yards, especially, with what we hope this offensive line could be with selecting Andrew Thomas, Matt Pert. Going forward, I could see him hitting 2,000 yards. I could see him getting a little bit more than 2,000 yards. I know that's pushing it, but I'm just saying I could see him getting that. And I mean, for a position that isn't quarterback, I think that would definitely get him into that conversation. I mean, you look at it a couple years ago, Todd Gurley was in that conversation a little bit more, the MVP conversation. And I think, in my honest opinion, that Saquon Barkley is a better overall back than Todd Gurley is.
Well, let's hope he doesn't go the Gurley route.
Absolutely.
Let's hope he avoids that as
not.
much as possible right now. I don't remember. Is Todd still looking for work, or did he sign?
No, he's with the Falcons.
Oh, that's right. He went to the Falcons. That's right.
He went to the Falcons, yeah. Which I actually like.
That's how much I really care about Todd Gurley.
No, and you know what? I know that he's been coming forward recently saying that he's been wanting the Rams to pay him because they haven't paid him yet. They actually haven't paid Clay Matthews either. He filed a grievance against
the bonus. I saw that.
No, just looking at it, I can definitely see Saquon Barkley being up there in that conversation. I think he has that potential to really spark into that MVP conversation. I genuinely do. So no, I agree with you. I agree with whoever this handsome man is that wears black and number 1. He sounds rather interesting. He sounds like he gives good opinions.
Smart.
He does. He sounds smart. He sounds like he knows what he's talking about, but what do I know? I'm just a kid with the phone.
Sometimes I think he's a dumbass, so I wouldn't even go with that.
You know what?
Those are going to be the rapid fire topics. I am going to turn the mic over to you. I know you had a topic of conversation that I would love to hear.
Yeah, so I wanted to get your thoughts. So looking at next year, we got a whole new coaching staff on the offensive side, on the defensive side. I think we could say that there were upgrades. I think that Patrick Graham, from what I'm seeing, has the potential to be a better coach than what we had before. Oh my God.
That's not saying much.
It's not. It really isn't saying much, but I think that with the talent that we have on this defense, as it grows, it's going to take some time, could be a very good defense. And I'm really excited to see how this defense looks. On the offensive side, I mean, it's going to be something new. I think the last couple of years, we've been used to seeing these very short, intermediate passes. The receiver, really does most of the work after that. But now we're in an offense where it's either going to be run first, or even if the quarterback has to throw the ball, you need time. You need time for the players to break into their routes. Right. So I think it's going to be rather interesting. So my question to you is, you could pick. I'm not going to make you do both. You could if you want to. On the offensive or defensive side, what player do you think breaks out?
Oh, offense. You know what? I'll give you one for each side.
Perfect. Let's do that.
I am going to go defense. I am going number 53, O'Shane Ximines. And I'm not just saying O'Shane Ximines because I say his name well and I pronunciate it correctly.
You do. I'll give you that.
He is the type of player that when Betcher was here, I don't think they knew what to do with him when he was drafted out of Old Dominion.
Oh, absolutely.
I really think – now, he did have 4.5 sacks. He had a spurt in the middle of the season where he was getting a couple sacks. Then he has a huge drought. And then he got a couple sacks. He got a sack or something. I think it was second half in the Eagle game. And then like another half a sack after that. His ability to get penetration from the edge position was not always there. And I think that he is going to break out only because of the fact that I think a lot of ways right now, especially on the roster, we have no one else really to fill into that edge position. I know they're talking about Patrick running a 3-4 hybrid. He ran a lot of 4-3-5-2s. And now if you're going to run a 4-3, most people, going back to the old days, you have your 2 edges and you have your 2 defensive tackles. Correct. And right now the people on the edge, not only do they have to rush the quarterback, but they also need to contain their edge against the run. And I think that if you go back to a lot of his film, he did not have a lot of trouble holding his edge against the run. The problem is he had a little bit of trouble getting to the quarterback because he basically only has 1 or 2 moves. And I think with proper coaching, if Joe Judge is a man of his word and is really going to coach these guys up, I think you add some more to his repertoire that he is going to turn out to be not, I'm not saying he's going to get 15, 20 sacks. I'm not saying he's going to be JPP. But if we got 7.5 to 9 sacks out of him, I would not be surprised right now. And for the offensive side of the ball, you're probably going to think I was smoking something. But I am going to go our favorite son, Mr. Walking Boot himself, Evan Engram. I'm saying Evan puts it all together.
I like that.
He plays, and then I don't know, Sunday afternoon after the game, they put both his feet in boots and he goes home like that for 7 days, or they wrap him in bubble wrap. I don't know what, but I got a feeling. I'm not saying he is going to play all 16 games. I will say he will play 13 games, but he will have over 900 yards receiving and at least 7 touchdown catches. And I'm saying that if you take a look at his game, and a lot of people don't give him credit for improving because he can't stay on the field. But if you go year to year, he came into the league and he could not block anybody.
Not at all.
He was basically just a guy standing there. And there was a lot of games last year where he was physical at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Even to his detriment, because maybe that's what got him hurt. But he was physical enough to hold his blocks as a tight end. And I think that Garrett's going to be smart enough to say, hey, you know what? Let's throw this dude in the slot. Let's see some 5'9", 5'11" slot corner cover Evan Engram. And like I said, those are going to be my 2 guys.
I actually agree with you. Believe it or not, Evan Engram was one of the players that I had on the offensive side. I think you have a full year of him being healthy. Tight ends usually do thrive in the Jason Garrett offense. You look at Blake Jarwin, you look at obviously Jason Witten, and they have success in that offense. And I don't think personally that Sherman was using Evan Engram correctly. And you put that speed, that level of talent in the slot, you kind of saw that during the Redskins game where Collins couldn't cover him. Their linebackers could not cover him. He's a mismatch nightmare, in my honest opinion, which is what I tell people where they get on the Caden Smith train. Oh, we could trade Evan Engram and then we can just use Caden Smith. Well, Caden Smith did play out. Caden Smith isn't.
I am not to interrupt you. I'm not seeing the whole Caden Smith thing. He was a good fill-in. What did he average? Like 7.6 yards a catch? And while he made some impressive catches, he also dropped the ball a lot. There was in the Philly game, he dropped the ball quite a bit. So,
and that costed us in the end.
Yeah. So I'm like I said, not to interrupt you, but I get a little upset when people are like, well, Caden Smith. Okay, well, you know what? Show me something over 16 weeks, and I just can't see him being a starter.
Yeah, and this is what I always tell people. You look at Evan Ingram's rookie year, he had, I think it was over 700 yards. Yeah. You saw the potential that this man, if he is used correctly, which I do think that we're going to use him correctly, how he can actually be. I think he could be a lot better than what he was in his rookie year, in my honest opinion. But I'm gonna switch it up a little bit on the defensive side. So I had 2 players. I'm just going to choose one of them. I'm going to say Blake Martinez. I know, you say, oh, well, Green Bay wasn't too high on him. They let him go.
I'm only smiling because of the fact that you really call him a breakout player when you sign a guy for like $40 million.
Well, look,
I'm actually a huge Blake Martinez fan. And we did a bunch of videos on Blake and kind of breaking down his game and how he was misused in Green Bay this last year and how he thrived in Patrick's system the 1 year he was a linebacker coach. But I'm just curious what and I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I'm just curious.
No, you're good. You're good.
What would make you think that a guy is going to be a breakout guy that got a $45 or $40 million contract to come over and start for the New York Football Giants?
So I think that he's an upgrade over Alec Ogletree. I wasn't a fan of the Alec Ogletree trade. People look at Alec Ogletree's interceptions, and I personally don't really care too much about it because he couldn't cover. Now, I understand that Blake Martinez isn't the best for covering, but this is what I say to that. Blake Martinez is a smart linebacker.
Yes.
He's a great tackler. One of our biggest, I'm going to say top two, other than getting to the quarterback, as a whole defense within the last couple of years, has been our tackling. I can't tell you the amount of times where a player would have their hands on another player and slips right out. Gains another 5 yards. So it's good to see that we actually have a linebacker that can tackle. I think that scheme also does matter. Now, I know that they got Zadarius Smith last year, the Packers, and with Patrick Graham leaving, going to Miami, scheme does matter. I know that defensive scheme was a lot different than when Patrick Graham was there. And they used Blake differently. He said it himself. They used him differently than when Patrick Graham was there. And, I don't think Blake played entirely bad last year, but I think it's definitely an upgrade. I think, when you look at it from a scheme perspective, you look at it with the chemistry that, Patrick Graham knows how to use this player because he's coached this player
Well,
before.
give you an example. The year before Patrick Graham, Blake Martinez and ranked in starting linebackers for coverage he was in the bottom 10. And then Patrick Graham came in. His rank, and again, this is Pro Football Focus, and it's very subjective. But then he had Patrick Graham that one season. He ranked number 8 out of all starting linebackers in regards to coverage. And then last year when Graham left, he dropped down to like 29th or 30th. So I do see a definite, connection between the defensive coordinator and the player. And I'm hoping that translates because I'm tired of seeing tight end slant, tight end fly.
Me too. Me too, 100%. But then it's like, like I said, I think scheme does matter. And then when you look at it, Ventry really didn't know how to use his plays. One quick argument to even shut that down, you look at how he used Deandre Baker. You have a press corner playing zone.
Yeah. It's true.
It doesn't make sense. So for me, that's what I'm saying. I had two because for me it was kind of a toss-up. Just to quickly mention them, the second one I actually had was James Bradberry.
Again, you're signing a guy for like $50 million to be your
I understand. I understand, but you look at within our division, I think Terry McLaurin actually takes that step next year. He looked really solid for what Washington was giving him. He didn't really have too long to practice. I know in the NFL it's a little bit different. I know that they had chemistry, him and Dwayne Haskins in college, but he really stepped onto the scene last year. You look at Philly. Philly got, we don't know what the fuck Philly doing right now, but Deshaun Jackson is still a threat. He got that speed on him. Marquise Goodwin is still a threat. He got speed on him. They got speed around him. Hopefully Carson can stay.
They can't stay on the field.
That's what I was going to say. Hopefully, Carson and them can stay on the field. Then you look at Dallas. Dallas easily has one of, if not top 3, I would say top 2 best receiving corps right now with how it's looking. Michael Gallup proved to be a solid number 2 at a worst solid number 3 wide receiver. Amari Cooper at home plays well. On the road, can't play for shit. But, I just see it as James Bradberry played the best wide receivers in the game. You look at Julio Jones, Michael Thomas.
Against Tampa.
It's you want that on the team. And it's like I look back at 2016 when we first got Janoris Jenkins. Lockdown. Nope. You look at the Cowboys games, lockdown. But after that, he wasn't terrible. But we didn't get to see that 2016 Janoris Jenkins out of Janoris. So with me, I'm seeing it as Patrick Graham's defense from what I've seen in Miami. He plays a lot of press with the corners. which will help DeAndre Baker if he stays on the team. Because
Right.
DeAndre Baker's a press corner. So is James Bradbury. I mean, like I said, I think with you having a solidified backfield, with your corners and your safeties, that helps a little bit, maybe not as much, but it does help your pass rush. So knowing that, okay, I can have James Bradbury put on Amari Cooper or CD Lamb, whichever. I know that he can handle his own. I'm not worried about him because he went against some of the best receivers.
Oh, yeah.
I think that he would thrive in Patrick Graham's defense. That's just me. On the offensive side, like I said, I had Evan Engram in mind. I'm going to go a little bit different. I'm going to say Saquon Barkley. 100%. I'm going to say Saquon Barkley. I think, now with him having a full year healthy, an improved offensive line, which we don't know if it's going to be a run-first offense or if it's going to be whatever the fuck, Dallas was doing last year, which I doubt it's going to be that way. We don't know how it's going to be.
Well,
I know he said that it's going to be
we've
similar.
said before, Garrett hasn't called plays in 5 years.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
We don't know if he's going Air Coryell or if he's going to go his last season in Dallas. We don't know.
Yeah.
And like we've said before, Garrett was more the CEO of the team, kind of like Joe Judge. So he kind of stayed away, from the offensive end the last 5 years. So, and I find it interesting that people are like, well, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. Well, honestly, we don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
He's been away from the playing calling for 5 years. He might surprise us and, go something West Coast.
I think he's going to be an improvement over Schuler.
Oh God, yeah.
Because you look at how many games are there where Saquon is doing really, really good on the field?
You got to remember last year, Shermer called the plays last year.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so he's gonna. And Shermer was supposed to be the offensive genius, the offensive guru, which got him the job. Somehow it got him the job in Cleveland after he had two god awful seasons in St. Louis. So I'm
gonna tell you something. Pat Shermer and Ben McAdoo really ruined, for me at least, my excitement when it comes to me hearing, oh, he was an offensive guru. He's a quarterback guru. Because when we hired Ben McAdoo, he was supposed to be this great thing. He works really good with quarterbacks. His offense is going to be good. Offense was predictable.
He had 2 good seasons with Eli as the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
He revived Eli's career after the 27 interception debacle, even though 9 of those came from passes to Ruben Randall.
But I also think we can both agree that, you can be a good offensive coordinator and not a good head coach.
Oh, God, yeah.
I don't like Pat.
I've said that a million times.
I said that about Pat Shermer. While I don't like him as a head coach, I think that, to be honest with you, I think he's going to do really well in Denver.
Yeah.
He's a pretty good OC, but I didn't like when we got Schuler. You looked at what he did at Carolina.
It's funny when people say he was a pretty good OC. If you go back and look at his rankings as an offensive coordinator, he's only had I think it was 1 or 2 seasons in the top 5. He's been kind of middle of the road, and those 1 or 2 seasons is what got him a head coaching job and got him a second head coaching chance. But a lot of times, I could probably be a pretty successful offensive coordinator if I had the pieces that, Minnesota had, when Shermer was there.
Definitely. I just think that in terms of Saquon, when we look at it, I think OC matters as well. I think at a worst case scenario, we run the ball a lot. I'm not going to complain giving Saquon more touches.
Oh,
I'm not going to complain,
I
especially
wanted
if
to
he's
run
doing
the ball
really good.
578 times last year.
Exactly. You draft a player that high in that position, you have to. Them saying, oh, we're going to only give him this many touches. We don't want him getting injured, or we don't want to, decrease maybe a couple of years or whatnot of his playing time down the road. Well, then you don't draft a player that high. Then you look in the 4th and the 5th round, in my honest opinion.
You
go
get a running
route.
back late, or even the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th round.
Even undrafted, Philip Lindsay. Look at Philip Lindsay. His first year when he went undrafted, he had over 1,000 yards.
Yeah, you're right.
So I like I said, to break it down into 2, I got Blake Martinez on the defensive side. I got Saquon Barkley on the offensive side.
I'm surprised you didn't pick Deandre Baker.
No, I think I will say this much. I think that if he does stay with the team, he's going to have a good year. I thought he was going to have a better year before all of this, but I think he has a good year this year if he stays onto the team.
Well,
I think that Patrick.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing with him is he's definitely a press corner. And I think if he stays on the team, he's going to be an excellent press corner. And if he doesn't stay on the team, he's going to be an excellent press in the license plate corner. So it's all going to work out for him. It's win-win both ways. And I'm sorry, that just came from me. That did not come from the Brooklyn Hitsquad. I just want to say that right now.
No, it's all good. I mean, like I said, you don't use a press corner in zone and wonder why he's not doing good. Right. You're not. Now, like I said, I just looking at Patrick Graham's defense, he likes to have his corners play a lot of press or blitz his corners, which I wouldn't be surprised if we see blitzes on Deandre's side more than James Bradbury's side in terms of blitzing, or if they blitz Sam Beal.
He blitzed on third down 43% of the times with his corners.
Yeah.
So he likes to blitz with his. He like it, and I've said we did another video on it, and I've said it before. He reminds me of Spagnuolo in 2007. Spags had no problem bringing in the blitz from the cornerback position
from all over the place in a sense.
But he was big bringing in the corner blitz. I mean, I mean that's to me that's I kind of hopefully see him going that direction.
Yeah, I mean I think that we have better talent on the defensive side than Miami did last year. I think that we have now another year of chemistry on this team. I know we have a little bit, different players on the team, but from what I'm seeing, it seems that they're going to be able to play. They're going to be able to pick up this playbook a little bit better than when Betcher and Shermer were here. Didn't really seem that they got the team's attention. Obviously, Deandre Baker's falling asleep in meetings. So, and just listening to press conferences of Pat Shermer, I'm not going to lie, I would have fallen asleep in class too.
Yeah. Shermer was not the man. But you know what?
He wasn't.
We have to we're going to leave it at that right now because we're going to save some more of the good stuff because you know what? This is the slow season and we're not going to burn through all of our topics because we got to make a lot more videos before training camp even starts. And again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. And we have Mr. Brooklyn Hitsquad 96 dropping knowledge on us. And you know what, Brooklyn, Mr. Hitsquad, I call you Brooklyn now because I feel like we have a simpatico relationship. So I'm not going to call you Mr. Hitsquad anymore. You're now Brooklyn. You know what? Again, we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate you giving us some knowledge, and we're gonna like I said, we'd like to close it out. You get the final thought.
No, I just want to say, thank you so much for having me. I always love doing this with you. It's always fun. We get to share our unbiased opinions and really get our point across to each other. I love what you do, man, and you know how I feel about that. So keep up what you're doing, man.
I appreciate it. And again, this is Tim with Online Big Blue, bringing you the best of New York Giants sports talk and entertainment. If you could if you could subscribe, if you could ring the bell. You don't have to go back out into the yard and find the keys because I found them yesterday. And if you could do all those things, that would be awesome.